Hello, everybody. You're watching the B stream here for the Quake Pro League World Championships. This weekend is already full of fantastic matches, and as we now go in to DaHanG versus nosfa, looks like both these players are readying up and getting good to go. It's going to be Exile for our first map, and Flea. Things are critical.
Yeah, indeed they are. This is already a lower bracket matchup. First, we saw DaHanG initially beat Cooler, but then he lost himself versus Avik. And then on the other hand, we had nosfa, who lost to CNZ. So these are both players who are now fighting for their life in this tournament. And that's just interesting to see, because not too long ago in the previous stage finals, DaHanG damn near made it into the finals day. He crumbled just before that against Cypher. And then nosfa had his best showing ever at a stage finals, getting a top 4 finish in the entirety of the stage 2 finals. So watching both of these players be down in the lower bracket this early, quite a surprise.
Now it looks like we'll be jumping in. Oh, actually, never mind. I think the picks and mans might have been a little bit incorrect, because we're now jumping into our first map, which is Ruins of Sarnath. Players just quickly corrected, and it looks like we've changed it over. At least match found. We're loading into our first map, but again, they are a little bit swapped around. It's Ruins of Sarnath for our first map here today.
Yeah. And it is going to be a Ranger played by nosfa versus DaHanG running the Strogan Peaker. So both players have a significant amount of mobility. Ranger, of course, offers more vertical mobility as well as the damage burst that you have with the orb. But then on the other hand, Strog just has an overall greater extent of speed, right? The crouch sliding helps you accelerate so quickly. Plus, you've got the Peaker to help you out. And we know that DaHanG is one of the players who really brought Strog onto the scene, right? Ketchup? That's already a year or two ago, maybe, but he really revolutionized playing Strog at a high level. He was the one who kind of came up with the attack, if you want to call it that, of dropping down, sending the Peaker up, or using it to bait out a railgun, and then while your opponent is recharging, peeking back out yourself and landing a shot in their downtime. So DaHanG definitely brought this champion to the scene, and he's clearly one of NA's best when it comes to Strog.
Fight. Well, let's jump into our first map here. nosfa and DaHanG, checking things out from nosfa's point of view first. We're going to get the mega side spawn from nosfa heavy for DaHanG, and DaHanG getting himself LG and rail immediately. So he's in a good position to play that game of angles. And I like the fact that nosfa, kind of using as much of the map as he can to try and avoid those rails. Unfortunately, he can only avoid it for so long. My man is tender. And is he now going to have to use his orb to escape? DaHanG pushes forward. That would have been a kill shot. Doesn't quite manage to land it. And this is going to give a couple of seconds of breathing room, but nosfa is still in a bad situation. He's railable at his 85 HP. DaHanG not quite able to land it, but here comes the Peaker. The Peaker goes down, 25 health. DaHanG can still chase it, but he just can't finish the job.
DaHanG started off at 70% railgun accuracy, landing almost all of those opening shots, but now he hasn't landed one in, I think it's 7 shots or so in a row. And now nosfa actually connects with a very nice rocket, but it will just not be enough. And DaHanG finally cleans up that first frag. I think it's long awaited, quite a bit in the making as well. And good positioning here from the American as well. He knows that he's delayed heavy, just holds down the choke point, very much aware of the fact that nosfa doesn't have rail of LG yet. So he uses that to his advantage. And it should secure him a second frag as well as the heavy. nosfa actually had the opportunity. If that rail had connected, the Brazilian would have been in a really good spot to take away heavy and tie things up. But unfortunately, he couldn't quite connect it.
Now, these fights haven't been the cleanest from DaHanG. He's taking a lot more damage than I think he'd like to in these exchanges. But the important thing is that he's at least got that 2-0 that he's currently working on. nosfa using that missed rail just to gather up some of the important weaponry. He knows that that rail could be a bit of a trap, although he's going to need it for the fights to come. Able to get that LG nice and early. Heavy as well, could be a lot worse. nosfa has a lot of stuff to play around with at the moment. But could be another fight here towards Mega. Mega will be the next spawn. Opens things up with the rail. This is his ticket. And it looks like DaHanG is going to quite rightly disengage from that. He doesn't want to give nosfa too many openings. The teleport to safety. nosfa a bit aggressive here, though. Close range, and he picks up DaHanG with a nice little rocket into orb combo. And okay, breathing space. Oh no, DaHanG gets himself onto heavy, but he's not able to shut it down. It will be nosfa picking up yet another one. The 2 apiece right now. And hang on, dare I say, nosfa could get another one here. He does have the weapon advantage, but hang on a minute, caught swapping weapons. The super shotgun finishes the job. and it's just in time for a Mega. So nosfa, a great job of switching the momentum.
nosfa indeed, just completely turning it around right there. Now it's a race to heavy. DaHanG gets the better position, makes it down there first, and nosfa is just going to yield the item. I like how patient both of these players are approaching the out-of-control game, right? You first saw it with DaHanG. Unfortunately, it didn't quite pan out because nosfa was so aggressive with that orb. But they are very quick to just give up items when they know they're not in the right position to take it. Oh, DaHanG, that peeker!
Oh!
Yeah, DaHanG, I probably thought he would have jumped a little further around the edge before popping that ability, but it will still result in trade, so that's no harm, no fall. Close quarter rails, connects two, and then switches to the machine gun to tie it back up.
This has been a ruthless map so far. Fortunately for DaHanG, he's able to take away that heavy. Even if we go down, if we can stop nosfa from getting that armor, because let's keep this in mind, right? nosfa, he is being aggressive. He is being so close range in these fights, and the rocket launcher plays a big part in that. If you're going up against Ranger and he's playing that way, man's going to have that limited self-damage. He's going to have the advantage at that distance. So DaHanG, if he can keep the armor as low as he can, it's going to give him potentially a bit of a one-up in the next fights that take place. Now, on the subject of armor, nosfa does pick up a heavy. DaHanG having to play a bit of a slow game here because I think there's a lot more confidence coming out from nosfa. Teleports himself right up and they switch positions. That does now mean that nosfa is in position for the Mega that is just about to spawn. 2 seconds. Opens things up with a rail as well. Nice little combo. And DaHanG is in a bit of trouble right now.
Perfect read by nosfa. Now keeping a good eye on that small armor at top as well, knowing very well that DaHanG is eyeing it. But he broke away a moment too soon and now has completely lost track of where his opponent is at, giving DaHanG a bit of breathing room and opportunity to stack back up. And this next Mega is going to be important. nosfa doesn't have rockets yet. Best thing he's got to make do with is the super shotgun. And DaHanG! No, that was unexpected.
Sneaky.
I think if he had missed one more peeker blast, that would not have killed that rail. That was really close. Luckily for the American, it did connect. Excellent job on forcing out the spawn as well. Doesn't want to just go down the stairs towards heavy straight away. Instead, holds on a moment, carefully positioning himself in such a way that he can force out nosfa exactly where he wants him to be. And that allows the Liquid player to net quite a few frags in quick succession.
A much more comfortable situation with that peeker. Well, that Strog, sorry, vial of blood. Just being able to heal. Justify holding that angle just a little bit more. But DaHanG has had a comfortable lead split up here, and he's in position for this heavy already. nosfa, he did have a confident few minutes, really, but it just seems like in the blink of an eye, DaHanG has turned it round in these fights before they've even started. They're over. And he has a massive stack. At the moment, that mid-air was so good. And the peeker in between tries to punish. They actually swap positions. There's that orb coming out. nosfa survives for now, but how long? There's not a lot of stuff to take health-wise down there.
That was such a beautiful predictive rocket by DaHanG right there. Timing the exact moment that nosfa would drop down straight to the face. And now, just look at the stack that he's working with. That trade that is only going to favor DaHanG. Indeed, he knows that he can take several more, whereas nosfa will die to one successive hit. So he just sticks around knowing that he is the one to settle that fight. And now it's another messy engagement. DaHanG actually getting knocked down from the platform. That's a lucky engagement for nosfa. That rocket sending his opponent spiraling downwards gave him a perfect opportunity to take away the Mega. And now he might get a jump on the Heavy as well, although he doesn't realize that DaHanG isn't going for it at all. Heavy has been up for close to 20 seconds now, and neither player has gone for it. I think they're both under the impression that the other one has secured it by now, but it's still up. It's just gonna sit there for an entire rotation, Ketchup.
At least one. Now the Mega's in play. nosfa picking that one up. DaHanG having to be nice and patient because he can play the clock now. We have to give him that credit. The mobility is on his side as well, thanks to that crouch slide. But with that, nosfa has collected everything. The Mega and the Heavy, and more importantly, the timing on it. And that is something that concerns me now. As DaHanG is stuck in no man's land. No one likes getting stuck down here on Ruins. There's pretty much no way of escaping. You have to just win the fight the old-fashioned way. And nosfa takes it. But here's the thing. DaHanG was pretty far away from both major items. Does he have timing on any of them?
I think no one really had timing on heavy after what happened the previous time around.
Yeah.
Now it is nosfa. He steals away heavy, gets his orb onto the mega as well. That's why that ability is so powerful on a map like Ruins. You can easily traverse the layers. These are good rails. nosfa needs to keep this up. Railgun is what is going to keep him in this match because time is dwindling. Oh, beautiful. Right on DaHanG's foot. And now we see kind of the issue of the matchup catch-up. DaHanG simply has a far greater base speed than nosfa does by playing Strog with the crouch sliding. And when you're down to the final minute and a half and you've got to make up 3 frags, DaHanG can so easily stay away from him. Now nosfa, of course, has the orb, he's got that damage, and he can make up a lot of space quickly. But he's got to find DaHanG, and that orb is a significant cooldown. He's used it once, he might be able to do it once or twice more, but that's it.
Delaying the respawn, smart stuff there from DaHanG. If you can mess up anything with this little time left to go, that's going to be one of the many ways you can secure that first map win. He's going to have timing on the item at the very least, but the aim of the game here is going to be survival. And you quite rightly pointed out the difference in mobility with these two. I like that awareness DaHanG, wasting no time getting rid of the Pika when that could have been a bad situation.
Both players landing a predictive rocket of their own right there. Not something you see every day. Oh, this is huge for nosfa. No! He turns away at just the wrong... Oh! I was saying that was huge. If he had caught DaHanG out there, he had such a real possibility of making up both of the frags. He would have gotten the kill there. DaHanG would have spawned on the other side. nosfa could have orbed and just tried to pick him off straight of the respawn. But now, catch up, I fear that time is just not in nosfa's favor. Nice little rocket shot. What? He looks the wrong way!
That is now 2 times in a row. nosfa has just not, as so painfully simple as it sounds, he has just not been looking in the right direction. DaHanG has been there both times.
It was just outside of nosfa's peripheral vision, you know, like 2 steps more to the left. And nosfa absolutely would have gotten a glimpse of him there, but no. Not this time. He had opportunities catch up, but just the reads were slightly off, the map awareness not quite as good as it should be, and that will guarantee DaHanG the first map win.
If nosfa watches the VOD back and he sees those 2 moments, I feel like there's going to be a moment of just his heart sinking, right? The, oh my good lord, he was right there.
Yeah.
But DaHanG, able to stay nice and patient though, in both of those instances. He could have easily given his position away. Some players, if you're trying to be defensive, right, you're hasty, you see someone, you just assume they're going to go after you every time. So you sometimes risk giving away your position. But with that first map for DaHanG, not really comfortable. It was constantly trading itself back and forth, but in those closing few moments, it was that mobility. I think as well that the hastiness of nosfa, like desperately trying to find him, didn't maybe become as thorough as he could have been.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's just the panic sets in, you know, in those final few moments of the game, and then you kind of neglect to check your corners, maybe a little too slow to react, and I think it's just a lot of self-doubt, you know, that sets in at that point, right? nosfa had the right idea for those first of the engagements. DaHanG is going for that top green armor. He was dead on the spot right there, but then as he pushes into it, he's like, I'm not hearing anything. He might not be here at all. So the self-doubt creeps in. He turns around, walks away, and then all of a sudden he still hears DaHanG behind him. But at that point, it's already too late. So it's just a little bit of the pressure mounting. The critical decision making tends to suffer in those really tense moments. But nevertheless, a very close game. Both of these players putting forward their best leg. That much is clear. And that really wasn't like a decisive, you know, walkover victory from DaHanG, right? He had to work for it. nosfa really was on point with his aim as well. I could easily see map 2 go in favor of the Brazilian.
There was that rather explosive early point there from nosfa too, where, you know, DaHanG had a decent start, but nosfa, he starts getting point blank. Those fights were immaculate. He had plenty of armor to make it work as well, and DaHanG having to kind of shift gears a little bit and play that game of range before anything happened, and that's where the rails started to become a lot more apparent. Not just getting some fantastic shots, but getting good predictions on nosfa as well.
Yeah,
a nice little marriage of both, I suppose. But our next map is going to be Exile. We should be readying up in just a second when DaHanG comes back, and then we'll be jumping in to what should be Galena versus Death Knight, if I'm not mistaken, which on this map, the Death Knight damage all day, every day, but additionally denial on those important areas, the teleporters, for example, those major items. Galena so used to putting down totems and blocking teleporter entrances or exits. I think Death Knight knows a thing or two about that as well. So it's a matchup I personally quite enjoy.
Indeed it is. Now, on the other hand, the Galena is very difficult to deal with as well, right? We've seen matches where those totems go unnoticed for minutes on end, and then one person constantly has that additional mega health to work with. So it is going to be vital for nosfa to keep checking those corners. And there's a lot of those on this map. You've got that little cave system behind TLG. You've got the little drop down next to Mega. So many little ledges. Of course, the railgun area down there as well, where you can very easily hide the totem. So I hope that nosfa is going to maneuver his way around some of the less prevalent areas of the map too, and make sure to clear those out.
It's important to do. I think we're doing some last minute checks and then we'll be jumping into this map. Cheers for joining us so far. Just to remind everyone, this is the B stream. There's just so many matches to go over this weekend. We can't fit them all onto one stream. Make sure you have the main Quake channel open. Try and watch them both at the same time if you can, because there's plenty of action to get through. And we're moving into that kind of quarter-final territory on the mainstream. The matches are getting unbelievably sweaty, mostly still within the upper side of the bracket. But these lower bracket matches are just as important, because unfortunately we have to send people out of the tournament. It's the, I think, saddest part of any event. You always hate to see people go, but those that are able to keep fighting for their tournament life, things get closer and closer, and I think the storylines grow anyway.
Indeed, they do. Now, I don't think we had the opportunity to talk about it before the match started, but their recent match history tends to favor DaHanG as well. They played earlier on in this stage during the normal weeklies, and it was DaHanG who took the win 2-1. Again, a pretty hard-fought victory. It wasn't an easy one-sided bulldozing either, so these two clearly are rather closely matched. And on that note, it looks like we are going to be loading into Exile. Exciting map. Let's see if Sinker gets to eat tonight, because we all know that he loves those plummets to the death.
We've seen plenty of them already this weekend. I mean, you see it guaranteed. We have a competitive Quake tournament and Exiles in there. You're going to see some kind of ring out. But now both players will be in the Exile. To remind everyone, the matchup Galena versus Death Knight. Galena for DaHanG and Death Knight for nosfa. DaHanG currently up one map, but by no means was it a decisive bout in that first time. So we could still have a final map among us. But as we now jump in, the good luck, the have funs are coming out. We'll be jumping into Exile now to see if DaHanG can maybe make this a 2-0.
And also, just to clarify, whoever wins this will be going up against Garpy later, so strong opponent waiting there as well. Now we're starting it off on nosfa's point of view. Heavy machine gun coming out from both players. Neither has committed to go for the railgun yet. We all know how risky it can be, but DaHanG is the first one to get the LG, and that is a fearless push. Knowing very well that nosfa doesn't have lightning gun of his own, can't send him flying down when he tried to jump across. So that was a very strategic play by the American, getting him a quick one frag lead.
Now already we're trying to cycle these items the best we can. nosfa sitting around just to ensure that he gets that heavy guaranteed. And on that note, DaHanG swapping it out there for a mega. And already, oh, that rocket around the corner was not how you want a fight to start. And he is tender. We've only just picked up the heavy as well, so we're going to have to go to other parts of the map to heal up. Unfortunately, I feel like DaHanG is going to have that in mind. We can already see through the X-ray. Plenty of totems have been set up as well. And now not able to get too much. Watch out. Even though the LG takes him out, I was a bit worried he'd be walking into a totem.
He came close. Mega is still up. DaHanG introducing a fair amount of delay right there. Clearly trying to set up something going forward. And nosfa, Ketchup, he hasn't been taking care of those totems very well so far. DaHanG is just about to have all three of them up in just a minute and a half. Not something you see every day. It tends to take quite a bit longer than that. And nosfa will take out two of them, but not before DaHanG got a nice bit of overstack healing from that. And he took away the heavy as well. This is a risky situation for nosfa, because DaHanG has managed to get full control very early on.
Big fan of DaHanG's totem placements right now too. There's been a couple of moments where he's put the totem down on the light health, and it just something as simple as a light health that you'll desperately need, especially off the jump pad near Rocket. You've got to go out of your way to make sure you can pick it up safely. There's the rail. DaHanG secures another one. And nosfa already starting things significantly far behind. He has to do a little bit of clear out before this mega spawns, but with only a plasma, that's not going to do much for him. I feel like that is going to be another mega pickup here for DaHanG. nosfa stuck to the lower end of the map for another point.
DaHanG is also very deliberate in sticking to the high ground, and a part of that has to do with the flame strike. He knows that nosfa can do very little when he tries to flame strike up, right? We just saw it. Yeah, it does some damage, but nothing too spectacular, and there's always a health bubble nearby to stack right back up. So as long as DaHanG gets that height advantage over his opponent, he can do so much to nullify that massively powerful ability, and that is a beautiful combo. Rocket into rail nosfa. He actually had an opportunity there, was doing pretty good damage on the heavy pickup. But DaHanG, with that nice little combo, completely secures Mega for free and forces nosfa to take, what, at least a cycle to restack before he can do anything. He's not going to show his face on heavy at all.
Cycle being the magic word here, Flea, as DaHanG continues to push it. nosfa's had very little items at all. 2 of the heavies to 1 mega. Extremely different to DaHanG, who's sitting on 5 of each, and that high ground continues, make that 6. They trade rail for rail, but DaHanG keeps the weapons, keeps the positioning. nosfa going for a bit more of a defensive rail there. Gets a flame strike that's definitely going to keep him away, but that tactical totem, immediately using it to nullify the flames. Such a good choice.
Yep. That's why Galena is a very powerful counter pick against both Death Knight and Sorlag, because you can instantly cancel out those damage over time abilities. Oh, DaHanG! Don't think he was expecting to take that amount of damage from the back, and nosfa might, at long last, secure a mega again. This could very easily still flip in the Brazilians' favor. Now DaHanG is relegated to hiding in the little cave over on the LG side, and nosfa has got heavy to fall back on. He doesn't want to just yet. He wants to continue doing damage and applying pressure. Finally get himself on board with a frag. But he makes the wise decision not to overcommit, not to overextend. Instead, he falls back on heavy and just sets back up to get consistent control of his own. He knows that the frag will be found, and it will be now. nosfa almost just letting him burn up to a crisp. Doesn't even force the fight anymore after that.
Yeah, DaHanG was not looking for nosfa to be around that corner. Of all the places he could be, the moment that teleport was used, the wasting no time of the flame strike, the exact situation that DaHanG has been going out of his way to avoid. Now he is able to open things up with 100 damage as nosfa comes around near heavy. Heavy being collected by nosfa, of course, but DaHanG back up to the top of the map. But he does need to get himself some weapons. He doesn't have a rail. He tries to take it in between. The defensive flame strike says, get the hell away from me. Both players now tender. Who's going to go for
nice.
what? nosfa is ready for the rail, and he gets another frag on the board.
That nearly went bad for nosfa. He completely fumbled the weapon choice down at heavy and almost paid for it with his life. Luckily for him, clears up one more frag, secures mega as well. Oh, these clicks. nosfa keeps clicking. He's gotten rocket ammo, that's what he was missing earlier, but now he still needs some more of those railgun slugs to contest DaHanG and compete at these longer distances.
Speaking of which, the battle for mega about to take place. nosfa being launched a little bit further forward to the rocket damage. Now there is a flame strike good to go. DaHanG, quite rightly, able to get in and out without being too at risk of that flame strike deletion that Death Knight brings to the table. Now nosfa extremely tender. The jump pad is a risky play to make, but he hits a defensive rail to force DaHanG away. DaHanG does not have access to a totem, not yet. Although now a couple of hourglasses on the retreat has dealt with that. If there's a fight near mega for another time here, DaHanG is not going to be as tender as he looks.
Both players are making good use of the railgun. nosfa has hit significantly more shots, but DaHanG has got the higher accuracy, or had the higher accuracy at least. Now it's nosfa with 56% railgun accuracy, making really good use of that weapon. And he knows he's still got the time to catch up. This is exactly what he needs to be doing. 3 minutes, that's more than enough time to just run into DaHanG and pop that flame strike at close range. He doesn't have to overextend or force anything. Can just set up for a nice rotation here if he lands one good rocket. There we go, that's what he needs. Heavy will be his. And he reads DaHanG perfectly. Oh, but that's quick. That's clever. The Liquid player, so rapid on the turnaround, and nosfa unable to land the railgun shot. So DaHanG still buying himself more time, but how long will this last?
That is a painful rail to miss if you're in nosfa's position, because that one missed rail allows DaHanG to pick up some of those lights that may not have been around at the time. Back up to a normal stack. He's just about to get himself a totem, but it doesn't matter. Shredded he was. And able to take out a totem as a bonus. nosfa brings himself back into this fight, looking for extra rails too. Hits one, but it's not going to be enough. The teleport back up to that high ground. A drop down that I'm sure nosfa heard.
Yeah, he absolutely has a good idea for DaHanG is at. Now he's going to spot him too. This is looking good for nosfa. He's got a nice rotation working in his favor. Mega should be his as well. Oh, DaHanG ends up back into the fire. But of course, he's got something to heal himself right back up with those totems. But that was a very nice delay from DaHanG, actually. Landing that one shot, pressuring nosfa like that, bought him the time to steal away the heavy. So he's kind of throwing the spanner in the works, not allowing nosfa full control and momentum. And that's so key this late into the map.
nosfa is going to have to be very careful which teleporter he chooses to use. No, one of those good predictive rockets. No, nosfa drop down. Can he escape? No, he can't. The heavy machine gun has other plans. Now, nosfa does spawn in a pretty decent spot. He picks up the rail without having to go out of his way. He gets heavy, and that's a start. 1.5 minutes. The flame strike's now good to go. Super shotgun locked and loaded, but another rocket that just... Oh, it hurts so good. Flea, make it stop.
Just when you were discussing how favorable of a spawn that was for nosfa, something like that happens. And now, to add insult to injury, DaHanG finally has 3 totems back up. And yet he's got a free mega to work with. Hello! That charged totem explosion dealt just enough damage that nosfa was railable. And DaHanG is capitalizing off that instantly. And now with 1 minute left to go, all the pressure is on nosfa, who's sitting up at heavy. I don't think he's got the slightest clue of when this item is going to spawn. That rail knocks DaHanG down. He's got an opportunity. But no, DaHanG's so quick to get out of that danger zone. And nosfa knows that he doesn't have the stack to just really push on through. He's got to commit with the railgun, find an opportunity to land these shots. But DaHanG is just healing himself right back up.
Now, nosfa, he's going to get one more flame strike before this map is done, but that's not going to be enough! No! Watch your step, my friend. That is going to cement the victory here for DaHanG, and for nosfa, I think a tragic way for him to miss out on that final map.
Yeah.
I was about to say, 2 frags left to go. There was about 30 seconds. He was about to get a flame strike. You could, in theory, make something happen with that, but before you can even finish your train of thought, he steps into Forbidden Realms. That totem is going to have the last laugh, as will DaHanG, moving on in the lower bracket. But that does unfortunately mean that we say goodbye to nosfa in the finals.
That's unfortunate for nosfa. After his performance in the previous stage finals, finishing 4th out of literally everyone in the world, and now first dropping to CNZ, and then immediately after losing to DaHanG as well. I think that's a very unexpected outcome. He had been looking pretty fine during the past few weeks of the stage, and then to now just lose like this, he's not going to be too happy about that. But DaHanG, of course, is going to rejoice, as he still has a lifeline in this tournament, now forced to make his way down through the lower brackets, where he will be facing Garpy next.
A matchup that DaHanG could definitely win. I think between the two of them, DaHanG likely gets the favor of many. I'd like to see Garpy roll up, as I always do, but I think that the way things are going, DaHanG goes into that next matchup as the favorite to move on, and there's one step closer to Championship Saturday, which is kind of still weird to say, but that is where we are. Championship Saturday tomorrow. Yeah. We're going to go for a break, come back with more B-Stream action. Check out the main Quake. There's plenty more where that came from. We'll see you in a bit.